Now, invisible attacks on American spies and diplomats. It's a medical mystery that is almost certainly wrapped in the age-old and high-stakes spy games between the U.S. and Russia. Here's Nick Schifrin.
Judy, the symptoms were sudden and shocking. Sleeplessness, headaches, inability to walk, memory loss, cognitive difficulties. Across 2 years in at least 3 continents, dozens of intelligence officials and diplomats suffered medical conditions that derailed assignments and their careers. Last weekend, the National Academies of Sciences released the first authoritative government report concluding the victims were most likely hit by directed pulsed radio frequency energy. The lead author was Stanford microbiology and immunology professor David Relman.
That form of microwave radiation is really not terribly common in the world around us. It's sometimes used, for example, in radar systems. It sometimes is used in clinical medicine for treatment of certain ailments, but it's not common in the home around us or in the world that we normally frequent. And that's what makes it a little bit unusual, and the sort of the message behind it a little bit different.
The message? Someone may have pointed a non-lethal weapon at U.S. government employees in order to harm them. And some former intelligence officials tell me that the perpetrator was likely Russia. To talk about this, we turn to Marc Polymeropoulos, former clandestine CIA officer who was in Moscow in 2017 when he experienced these symptoms. Marc Polymeropoulos, welcome to the NewsHour. What did the attacks feel like, and how long did they last?
It was a night in a hotel room in Moscow I'll never forget. It was frankly terrifying. I didn't hear any noise, but I did wake up to something which turned out to be right away feelings of intense vertigo, ringing in my ears, incredible nausea. I couldn't stand up. I was kind of falling down on the floor. And look, I've spent a long time in war zones in Iraq and in Afghanistan, and this was clearly the most terrifying moment of my life.
What's happened to your career since?
That was December 2017. By July 2019, I had to retire, and certainly retire early. I was in the senior intelligence service. I had a highly decorated career as an operations officer, and I think I had a lot more left in the tank. But frankly, by that point, I couldn't do a full day's work, and I missed 4 months of work, and so I was compelled to retire. I don't think I'm as in bad a shape as some of the other individuals, who have been afflicted by this. But I have a headache that never goes away. It's 24/7. I've had it for literally 3 years at about a 3 or 4 level, and it's it's chronic pain.
Do you believe that this was perpetrated by Russia?
There certainly is historical precedent for the Russians kind of doing nasty things to U.S. officials. So kind of put that, chalk that up. But number two, there has come to be a strong circumstantial case that it was the Russians. And, I have to be careful on here to kind of honor my secrecy agreement. So I will just say that it's been reported in the press that CIA conducted an investigation using some techniques which we call geofencing, and in essence found that as other officers later after me have been affected by this in different parts of the world, that they saw the travel of Russian intelligence officers very close to those locations. So ultimately a strong circumstantial case, both historical and with some investigative techniques, I think has been made, and at the very least just warrants further investigation.
Do you believe this is ongoing, and do you believe it's ongoing in multiple locations, including perhaps here in the United States?
I do. From individuals I've talked to. I mean, I know of the several cases that occurred after myself. I'm aware that these are still ongoing. There is a case that apparently reportedly did occur also in the United States. And so I have no doubt that this is still occurring, and I think you're going to see more attention paid to individuals who have had this happen to them.
What's the connection, as far as you can tell, between the initial victims of this, you and these other alleged victims, in terms of what kind of work you were all doing? So
let me just start with the recent cohort. It's myself and others. We were all very senior CIA officers, most of us in the senior intelligence service. Most of us traveling overseas, in which we were going to discuss with partners or going to talk to U.S. government officials about the Russians, so I think that lends some credence to that the idea that the Russians would know that we would be traveling. They could anticipate this.
A bipartisan group of senators have pushed for not only the release of the report that we're talking about now, but for the victims to get medical attention. Do you believe the administration has blocked the medical attention that some of you have been asking for?
I will say, within the CIA's operations directorate, up to the top levels of it, everyone has been, has first of all believed that something occurred and has been very helpful. I think, though, both in the Department of State and certainly in CIA, senior medical officials have been less than stellar in their reaction to this. There have to be reforms so that officers who are afflicted by this get proper medical care. We're not told, as I was, that I'm making this up.
I should note that there's an on-the-record statement that the CIA sent me. Quote, CIA's first priority has been and continues to be the welfare of all of our officers. The State Department also says it takes diplomats' health seriously. Do you believe that the U.S. government has taken your health seriously? And going forward, are you going to get the medical treatment that you've asked for?
So to answer your first question, no, they did not. I think with the cohort that was hit in both Havana and China from all different agencies, I don't think they were treated with either respect or the proper medical care, and I certainly was not as well. It took me, with a rather unprecedented step as someone who lived in the shadows for so long. I went public with this, and to do that was a very difficult decision, but I had to do it because ultimately I needed to get proper medical care. Now, I think in the future, I do see even now, the tide turning, but it's because of the publicity. For example, I am going to the Walter Reed, which is a world-class TBI, traumatic brain injury program. That is what I had really requested, and ultimately the agency granted me that.
The fact that we're talking about this and the fact that this happened to you and to others, do you believe that that could affect CIA recruitment in the future?
Oh boy, I don't think so. I don't think this should stop anyone from wanting to undertake public service. In fact, the opposite. I think it should get people angry. And so my reaction to this would be, please join the federal government, join the intelligence services, so we can go back and take it to our enemies.
Marc Polymeropoulos, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick.